So the second eclipse of this eclipse season of fall of 2024 happens on October 2nd, 2024 at 14:45:04. That's Washington, D.C. time. And to see what this eclipse is really going to bring, we have to look at the first eclipse in the cycle. This is the 17th eclipse of Saros number 144. And the first one of these eclipses happened, before I tell you that, okay, with the eclipse it's always fun to go look at the previous time you had this eclipse happen to get a feel for it and see if it hits you. So the previous time this eclipse cycle hit was 18 years ago on September 22nd, 2006 at 7:40 a.m. And that eclipse, the solar eclipse happened at 29 degrees 19 minutes of Virgo, which is about, say 6 degrees of sidereal Virgo. Okay? So if that eclipse hit you, you can go back and look and get a feel of what that eclipse brought, to get a flavor of what it might bring if it hits you or other people this time. Okay? Now, the first eclipse in this cycle, number 1 out of 70, happened on April 11th, 1736 at 2:09:37, again, Washington time. We're going to first study that chart to see what to expect during this eclipse. Okay? So, this is an intense eclipse because this eclipse cycle is always going to be intense, and it's in a context of change, because Pluto is aspecting the eclipse planet with about a 6 degree orb. Neptune's there within 3 degrees, and Uranus is trining it with 6 degrees. So we have all 3 outer planets in the first eclipse cycle of this eclipse were impacting the eclipse. So all 3 outer planets are big players here. Okay? Now, none of the other planets are big players though. You know, Mars isn't really aspecting it, Saturn's not aspecting really, Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury aren't. Jupiter, we've got a 9 degree orb to the Sun, so that is an aspect. So the only other planet besides outer planets that's influencing this is Jupiter. Good. We like Jupiter involved in an eclipse. Jupiter involved in an eclipse is saying, there's something good here, and we're giving you the wisdom to see it. Okay? Now, this is a solar eclipse. Solar eclipses are the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. Okay? You've been living your life with certain beliefs, certain ways, certain habits. Those habits are coming to an end, and you'll have an opportunity to develop new habits, new ways of being. All right? So, in general, you're going to find solar eclipses can be more life-changing than lunar eclipses. All right? And, and this one's going to be very, very life-changing because all the outer planets influence in it. Now, the closest one is Neptune. So, Neptune here is showing that during this eclipse cycle, we can say you're being molded or transformed into a new you. Your life is going to feel different once this eclipse is over with you. The things in your life you're going to feel differently about once this eclipse is over with you. Okay? But while the eclipse is happening, you're really, really not going to know what is going on. You won't really know what you feel anymore because you haven't come out the other side. So as your feelings about things, your priorities start changing, you'll be confused because we have clarity, so-called clarity, because the ego has its priorities, it's habitual in those priorities, it's convinced of those priorities, so it wakes up every day feeling like life is a safe, wonderful place. But when Neptune's involved in an eclipse, it's like, nope, or Neptune's involved at all of a sudden it's like, I'm not even sure about that anymore. Because when things are in a state of transition, what can you be sure about? Okay? So there's a state of transition going on that can be leaves some people a little uneasy feeling. All you can do is hang on and see what the master sculptor does with your life. Okay. Then we have Uranus and Pluto. We're going to talk about Pluto first. It's the opposition. That shows, if anything, this eclipse hits you, is going to go through a huge change, possibly a termination, an ending, and a completely radical shift, which means whatever this eclipse hits, it won't be the same again in your life. Okay? Whatever you're used to doing with that thing, whatever you're used from expecting from that thing, it's not going to be that way anymore. Okay? So, a deep, forever changes, basically. Uranus influencing the eclipse planet Sun, which lets us know that one of the things this eclipse is doing is giving you a greater freedom to be yourself. It's a time of finding out more of who you really are, what being yourself really means, and living more as what you really are. Our goal in life is to live truly as ourselves until we're living as a soul, with all of our soul nature expressed. Every time we get a little Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto, we move towards that a little bit more. Okay, they're the planets that are enlightening us to that state. In this eclipse, we have the great fortune that all three planets are involved. So this eclipse cycle that started in 1736, every 18 years, 10 days, it's coming again, and every time it's bringing the influence of all three outer planets into the eclipse point. Okay? And you're never going to be free of that. I mean, this eclipse cycle will always have that. That's the theme. This is an utterly transformative eclipse cycle that also has some wisdom and insights to guide you. Okay? That's all this eclipse cycle is. It's here to change your life, to change the things that it influences on all levels. You're going to lose some things, which is Pluto. There'll be parts of you that are broken, parts of your life that break. You're going to gain some things which are more you, which is Uranus. And you're going to do those in a way that you feel completely different about the things in your life thanks to Neptune. That's what's going to happen when this eclipse is done with you. And the guru, the guide, the seer, the far side cartoon, whatever, will be there for you to help give you a little insight of what it's doing thanks to Jupiter. Okay? Now, the actual cycle we're in right now, the actual eclipse we're in right now, on October 2nd of 2024, falls at 9 degrees 56 minutes of Libra. So if you have, that's Tropical Libra, that would be about 17 degrees of sidereal Virgo. Okay? Any point you have there, any house cusp, any house that's falling in, is going to be experiencing these results that I'm talking about. The closer the point, the bigger it's going to be. Okay? This particular eclipse cycle that started in, 1736, is not a destructive cycle in itself. Okay? It's not a destructive cycle in itself. Some eclipse cycles, every one of the eclipses, every 18 years, 10 days, it's a destructive cycle. It's here to destroy. Okay? In a way that leaves you going, wow, my life has been reduced. This eclipse cycle is not like that. Yeah, Pluto's there, so it will destroy, but it's doing that to make you go, wow, my life has been increased. Okay? There are eclipses that come along and make you go, wow, my life is decreased. Okay? This is not one of them. All right? So don't be too scared if you get hit by this Saros 144 eclipse cycle as it comes along every 18 years and 10 days. Now, this particular time, we want to analyze this eclipse very carefully. First of all, we have Mercury in the eclipse point. When a planet's on the eclipse point, especially a solar eclipse, it's like that planet falls out of the sky. So Mercury is not available. You want to try something? You want to figure something out? You want to get an opportunity to learn? You say, I want to try again. I want to try this. Mercury's like, too bad, dude. Don't get to. No trying allowed. You know, it's not a work in progress now. You don't get to fumble around and move forward. There is no Mercury. You don't get to play games with things. You don't get to fiddle around and try. Okay? Which is what Mercury does. It tries, sees what works. No. The time for trying is over with this eclipse. Okay? You don't get to. And anything that Mercury rules in your chart, you might, like the house it rules, for instance, you might find that, wait a minute, this house isn't really available for me to work on right now. I don't get to try things with this house. And in fact, you may actually lose that house during this time. Okay? The things ruled by that Mercury. So that's an important part. And this Mercury is very close to the eclipse point, just less than 1.5 degrees away. Okay. Other things that influence the eclipse point, we have Mars, and then we have Jupiter. Good. So Jupiter's I'm going to talk about first, because Jupiter was part of the original first of this cycle of eclipse. Now we have a nice Jupiter again, so good. This eclipse is also bringing in the guide, the wisdom, the words, the understanding that will help you make the changes. Okay? Mars is there, aspecting as well. It's a square aspect, so what that means is you're going to have a bigger fight on your hands than you think. So something's going to end, but it's going to end with a fight. Bigger than you'd hoped for, because it's a square aspect. There's going to be more nasty than you thought. The fight is going to be harder to win than you expected, okay? And you are going to have to fight. You're going to have to struggle to get through this eclipse. Anything that's hitting it is going to give you a challenge. It's going to challenge you, and you're going to have to win. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean you shoot it? No. Okay? When it really comes to astrology, what Mars is really trying to do, a good Mars, what a beautiful Mars does, is he simply says, no, that's not for me. And he does that without hurting the other person. Okay, that's really hard to do. Usually we say, we shoot the other person, or throw barbs at them, or throw knives at them or something, and then say, and therefore I don't want this, or therefore I'm going to go do this. No. A healthy Mars simply says, this is what I need to do, end of story. It doesn't need to fight and destroy. It simply needs to defend its right to be. That's the real purpose of Mars, to defend its right to be. Okay? And defending your right to be during this eclipse cycle is going to be difficult, because Mars is involved. That means you're going to have to fight harder to defend your right to be as you go through the changes you're making during this eclipse. So expect pressure, expect resistance, defend your right to be, try not to shoot them, even if they may deserve it. You'll probably find yourself shooting them, because it'll happen so quickly and unexpectedly that you have to deal with this extra pressure or challenge, that unless you're really in the habit of not shooting people when they deserve it, you might just shoot them. Okay? But the bottom line is, what really needs to happen is you need to defend your right to be, no matter what the resistance is during this time. Okay? Or what the pressure is. The pressure is about your right to be what you need to be. It's not about anything else ever. Okay? And there could be conflict there. Losses of Mercury, things ruled in your chart, or temporary losses, like, you don't get to try now. Maybe you can try later, but definitely not now. Okay? Okay. It's not a destructive eclipse, though. There's no destructive factors going on in here. Okay? So it's a tough eclipse cycle, this number 144, because of the 3 outer planets in the original eclipse, which means the ego is going through a transformation. The ego wants one thing and one thing only. It wants everything to be the same all the time. Okay? And that's not growth. So that's coming down. That's hard in the ego. But as this eclipse finishes up with you, you should feel better about your life, okay? Now, this eclipse happens October 2nd. That means we've been under the influence of this eclipse 4 weeks before that. So from about September 4th until the end of October, we're under the influence of this particular eclipse. Anything can happen anytime during that 60-day window, during that 80-week window. It might happen 2 weeks before the eclipse, 2 weeks after, on the day of the eclipse. It can happen anytime. So really study where this eclipse is falling in your chart. See what house it's in, what cusp it's close to. I use companion cusps. See what planets it's on, especially in your chart. And realize these are the changes that are happening on all levels. It's the thing that's changing. And what's interesting about this eclipse is that it's just an eclipse where you got this little extra bit of Jupiter giving you the little bit of insight, wisdom, or guidance to make these huge changes indicated by those 3 outer planets in the original eclipse in this cycle. Okay, so it's through gain of wisdom, a greater understanding of something, that you're able to go through these changes of the thing that's getting eclipsed, okay? All right. Hope that helps everyone get through these and have some assurance that this eclipse is not here to destroy you. Even if something gets lost, it's not a loss. It's a removal of a chain, okay? And you can lose a chain, right? You're not going to lose an arm or a leg in this eclipse. You'll lose a chain. Now, if that chain is all you've been hanging on, you might take a long fall. But when you get to the bottom, you're going to realize I didn't lose an arm, I lost a chain, and I'm glad for it. Okay? Thank you.